Welcome to Behind the Scenes. I am your host, Hector Montalvo. This show is dedicated to asking some tough questions for you, the viewers. We bring you their responses, and we let you decide. Joining us here today at our MCTV studios, we are joined by no other than Ms. Janet Uldridge. How are you, Ms. Janet? How are you?
I'm fine.
Welcome to the show.
Nice to be here.
Janet, you've been a big advocate in regards to open meeting laws and having cameras in the courtroom.
Correct.
What got you involved in this?
Well, it started in 2003, and so for 7 years I have been more or less trying to get access to public hearings. So what I do is I focus on anything that's public. So I started at the legislature, and everyone that I spoke to, I told them that I am working on a documentary project for public access to the legislature and the courts and anything that's comes under the open meeting law. So that's basically how I addressed my project, and I was doing a documentary footage, more or less investigative research on the press and how they cover stories. So my footage is not, just a talking head. I'm scanning the room. When I tape at the legislature, I'm scanning the room. I watch how many cameras are there, what press shows up, how long they stay, how long the people stay, how many committee members show up. So it's quite interesting. I have 450 films that I've done. I've had 1,400 views on Blip, and I've only had it up 1 year with no advertisement. So the argument was, who will watch your footage? The last year, which would be the 7th year, I can say 12,000 people watch my footage with no advertisement. So how does that happen? I don't know. It's new media. And in the spring, when I spoke to you about accessing the courts, I did have a meeting with the SJC at your request. And I was away for the summer, and then in the fall, we can see the results. I wasn't informed, but I think the results are amazing. And I don't think it takes a lot of people, but a couple of people who will not quit and are persevering. And so I'm really thrilled. And so we now have the SJC ruling to allow cameras in their courts. And there is a closing time, January 28th, for comments. And I have proposed amendments to Rule 119 of the Rules of the Supreme Judicial Court. Notice they're soliciting comments on these amendments. So the public can go on their website, and it's massgov/court/sjc/comment. If they just go on the main website and look for Rule 119, they can actually put their 2 cents in. I mean, how often do we get to put our 2 cents in the Supreme Court? This is it. This is prime time.
What are some of the type of comments that you think the SJC is looking for from the people out there and from media type individuals like ourselves?
Well, I made just a few, just from my experience working the past 7 years, I put just some little notes that I found them as I was trying to prepare for coming in here today. And I think what I would suggest, I'm looking at a protocol, and that's what I asked them to do, is to help us set up. I want to set a protocol up for media who access these places, and what would they consider, what would they require, what would they want to have as a, as a standard. And so I came, they didn't put any of those things in here, but they did allow for different types of cameras, 2 cameras, like a broadcast camera, and then another camera, which is public access, or anyone first, whoever gets there first. And that's, so what I put down was like what I would require, like even for comp film, having a Corey check, having an ID badge on, giving notice, they want to be notified that you're coming, and except in high-profile cases where maybe there'll be a stampede from all over the country, they're obviously not going to get noticed. They know they're going to attract a lot of attention that way. And a fair use, like who gets to use these. Now, my whole effort has been to provide the committees that I videotape a free copy, a pro bono copy of what I do. And I would like to have that sort of built into the system. I would like some reporter that is willing to offer a copy to the court so that we don't go into this whole suspicious place where the courts don't trust the media anymore and they're going to start a lawsuit. You fabricated that. I think there should be, you know, a video record of any hearing that they're allowing media in. I think all courts should have video records.
What drove you to this? Why get so involved in open meeting laws within government and the court system?
That's an awesome question.
Thank you.
That is the key question to my whole emphasis. When I started taping, I would go to a committee hearing, and the public record law does not apply at the State House. And so I would go up and say, can I get a copy of an audio tape or CD? Oh, we didn't record this. Well, you're not taking notes or anything? No, we're not under the public record law. But I didn't even hear it correctly. So I said, well, can I videotape? Well, if you get permission. So after about 5 or 6 times, they said, well, you're not going to be allowed to come in here every single time and tape. So but what I saw was that the meetings were not being properly recorded. And I'm, you know, from another generation, from the 60s, when everything, they had stenographers, you know, and it was a really a big class act. And I felt like they were really dropping the ball, and the public were really, taking a hit. And and after all the time that I've been at the State House, that's my conclusion, is that they have really sabotaged the trust of the general public, and now we're having a lot of problems because that's gone on for so long and nobody really knows what's happening.
So before you got there, they were basically no cameras, nobody recording these public meetings that the public's entitled to know, and then you've come in and basically they gave you a negative review as to you can't come in and record. Has things changed since then?
Well, I would say I passed out the petition that I showed you here, and Brad Hill and Bruce Tarr of Essex District, they filed a bill for me twice, S1458, Senate bill. It went to study.
Which means it's
well, the thing is, it can come out of study. What has to happen, okay, is if the next part of what I'm doing is I want to activate a whole team of independent reporters. So if Massachusetts public access people want to become a reporter, and they were part of my organization, the way the vision is that I have in my head, then that whole team could go down there and stand and be on the State House steps and create a rally. We could have and then we could go in there and we could lobby the State House to put them back under the public record law, and then they would be required to videotape their hearings. So this part of the picture has not actually taken place.
So you say that for the most part,
would pull it out of study.
That will pull it out of study.
That could pull it out of study. That's what a lot of these groups do.
So for the most part, the Main Street media, which would be the bigger organizations, Fox News, NBC, and so on, they have more rights than local access, which is basically community television working for the people, because the Main Street media reports to the people as well.
But they're a business, and so they own it's all copyrighted.
So it's all copyrighted.
Right. And what I'm trying to do is set up a protocol for public works document. That's the term, the legal term. It's a video public works document. So they're not going to give you their footage. Right now, the copyright law applies on the internet when they, it's been like the coverage for the past 3 days where there's stories all over. Twitter is awesome for actually circulating news, but you have to remember to give credit to that footage. Public access is owned by them. I mean, you may put the show up, but your work is for a public access corporation. So what I'm trying to do is is level the playing field so that it's a public works document. And if they wanted to donate public works documents, why haven't they done it? Because I think it's because they haven't actually set up like a House broadcast nonprofit corporation where they could donate their footage and then they would get a tax write-off. So, but there's an advantage. They own history. That footage becomes more and more valuable.
Now, in regards to recording in the court, I know that under SJC Rule 119 now grants any individual the right to put a request that the judge will hear and approve to allow someone to bring cameras into the courtroom. Under the new proposal, is that going to change, or it seems that it still will be you have to submit a request because the courts want to know? So what's the difference going to be?
Well, they weren't really allowing people in. They weren't even allowing regular broadcast in.
Even with the request?
In fact, they had a separate room set up, and you had a feed. And sometimes if it was a very, very, very high profile, they'll put a TV camera in there. But basically, it was an audio feed. And so this is a huge step, huge. And I think media really needs to seriously look at this and say, this is our moment, and we need to show respect for it. And I think that I have gained a favorable response from the legislature over the past 6 years of being videotaped because I haven't been in there in a threatening way. They have the power to throw you out, which the Supreme Court has too. They don't have to let anyone in.
But it's the people's building. I mean, public buildings such as the State House belong to the people, and you're trying to record to do the right thing for the people to educate. Basically, what's transpiring, how their government operates. Why would they be against that? Why would any of your state representatives, your state legislators, why would the State House require someone to come in and put a request to record when it's the people's building? Right.
Well, it's calling them to a higher level of accountability, and so
nobody wants to be held accountable.
Yeah, it's a very high standard of accountability. So, but I'm just saying that I think their response over the past 6 years has been positive. If I can go in and ask permission to tape, that's fine. But once they're under the public record law and they have to be recorded, that's a whole other thing. Now they have the luxury of thinking that they can throw me out when the public, because the public record law doesn't apply. But if more people are aware that they are not under the public record law, I think it will put pressure on them and they will be put back under the public record law. Because I think most of the population don't even understand the legislature has removed themselves from it in the 80s, and they think that they operate the same as their local government, local town, and they don't.
Yeah, and I think that if I recall correctly, maybe a year or so, we read that the state senators and the state representatives for the Commonwealth exempted themselves from the open meeting laws. So you're definitely planning on changing this, and obviously it looks like you have a huge impact being at the State House. How many meetings you said you covered?
At minimum, 450.
So that's
public hearings, press conferences, and events.
And you've covered the governor as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe you also covered the president when he came into town in Boston.
Right.
How was that experience?
Again, it's been a very exciting adventure for me. Because every time I go, I don't know what I'm going to be experiencing. So I will tell you, sometimes I can feel a lot of apprehension, but I just set my face like flint and just walk right through, and
Now,
I get right in, and it's really hilarious.
If you're doing all of this you're doing this to educate the people, correct? Why not get involved in a local public access where you can actually present all of this and do a show in regards to all of your videos to local access? I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with local access, but local access is paid by the residents of the individual cities and towns through their cable bill. And it's the only form out there right now that I'm aware of that allows you to express your ideas, talk about where you stand on particular issues, and educate the people in regards to how things are actually happening that they can't see. And you want to bring all that out. Why not bring it out to public access and spread it out a little bit further? Because I believe every community has local access.
Yeah. Well, I would like to respond to that statement by making a challenge to the audience that is listening to this show, that I'm one senior citizen who, through a process of osteo disability, was actually given the opportunity to get involved. But I am only one person. I have joined the local access in Beverly. Through ComFilm, as registered as ComFilm registry, I was able to help 5 people get trained through ComFilm. So, you know, I want to say that, you know, this needs to be a ground force, that lots of people need to be involved. And I'm thrilled with public access, and we need to stay vigilant with public access so that we don't lose the traction that public access has created. I think it's definitely, it's a watchdog game, and I'm watching for the State House, I'm watching for courts, but definitely I want to bring this information. Anyone can get a copy of my footage. It's on comfilm.com, FLM.com. I have a list of, every year is on there, the list of tapes. What I'm doing right now is to create the CPPR Archive Project Media Depot of historical tapes. So that will be accessible in some time, but it's going to be basically an internet storage bank of all of the films. So my footage is definitely will be available to the public, and they can get copies of what I've done. But I can't bring all of the aspects of what I'm doing to cable access without having a crew of people and tons of people, all hands on deck, is what I say.
So all your videos would be, you would make it pro bono for individuals, meaning they will get a free copy of any of your videos. What if government, if they were to get it from government and from the legislators, would there be a fee?
Well, I think Connecticut Network, CTN, they charge $20 a film. But you know what? They're setting up a library which is free. So if they want to purchase the tape, that's one thing. But once it's in the internet bank, then they can access it whenever they want. C-SPAN this year has just archived every one of their films they've ever done online, free. I mean, how many people really grasp the value of that project? And they can say, well, you know, some people even accuse C-SPAN of being too liberal or whatever, but you know what? They're doing a job. They're archiving documentary footage, the whole hearing. And there is another program which Emerson has now that that you can actually pull up any word in a film from an entire library. I lost the name of it. It just went, I can't remember what it is. But once that's applied to these documentary libraries, it's going to be amazing. What tremendous access. So I'm working on the legislature. You're working on courts. I would like to, switch gears this year and try to get more traction on the media archive library that I'm trying to establish. And I also want to bring attention to my cast. I broke my wrist, and because I was trying to go to a Peabody District Court to cover a case there in which they did not allow me permission to tape. And while I was waiting for the people to file some papers in the court, I went up to the library. It was the first day of the storm, the first storm we had. It was about 3 inches of snow on the ground. They didn't, the town of Peabody didn't bother to clear it except on the street, so there were like these stretches of snowy area, and I didn't want to fall because I knew that was a very slippery spot, so I was crossing the street and I fell. I had a black eye that went from here to here. Wasn't even able to celebrate Christmas. So I would say I'm on the front lines here, and I took a hit.
So that black eye, nobody just punched you in the eye or anything like that?
A lot of people wish they could punch me in the eye, I'm sure. But anyway, that's basically it. It's January 14th, and it still hasn't quite cleared up. I broke my wrist and injured my ribs. And the same day on the radio, all the talk was how the SJC had just passed a bill that everybody was responsible for the walkway in front of their property, businesses and homes. Well, the town of Peabody has a cap of $5,000 that you can sue them for. So I think it's a pretty funny thing sad for me, but it was pretty funny that it happened that day.
Yeah, it's amazing how laws are created to benefit individual people and organizations and special interest groups and so on. Just want to remind the viewers, you are watching Behind the Scenes. I am your host, Hector Montalvo. We are joined here today by Janet Uldridge. Thank you. Got that right. She is a Confilm Registry Media freelancer reporter. Janet, let me just ask you real quick. You have on Confilm a Catch of the Day video. Explain to us, what is the Catch of the Day video?
Okay, the name of my what is the name of yours? Behind the Scenes. That's what you call. So on your press pass, you have Behind the Scenes?
I have, yes, Behind the Scenes with Hector Montalvo.
On mine, I have Catch of the Day video news. When I first started it, I wanted to develop a press name for myself, so it was Catch of the Day video news. But I also included, because everyone would ask me, who are you with? And so I started Commonwealth of Mass Freelance Media Registry. I went to the Secretary of State's office, and they approved this. I had it actually circulating the whole name around here. I had to remove it because it was too much like them. So that's how it all starts. I'm Catch of the Day Video News. Anything I do, that's my name. That's the credit. It goes to Catch of the Day Video News, not me. And then Confilm Registry is the group of reporters. And the CPPR Archive Project is the collection of videos that have to do with the public hearings and events at the State House, anything public that I've attended.
Now, if any of the viewers who may be watching us on Facebook or Twitter or even here on MCTV or even maybe one of their local access, my show is viewed in 47 other communities throughout the Commonwealth, and that's the benefit of being able to have a local access in your neck of the woods, because you can actually educate the people just by local access sharing information. So it benefits not just your community, but it benefits maybe some other people out there. And it seems that you're doing really good work over at the State House. I know that you've been talked about on this show with one of our senators in regards to what the work that you have done in regards to open meeting laws and the video of the hearings and so on. And I hope that continues to go, because I think the people do have the right to know what their government is doing on a daily basis. I mean, is their tax money being wasted? The people have the right to know that kind of stuff. And you bringing that information out helps a lot of individuals. Do you get any feedback from those people that may have watched the show or do watch the show or watch the videos, or maybe any feedback from your legislators saying, good job, you are doing something good for the people? What's your feedback like?
Well, of course, my own rep and my own senator, they love what I'm doing. And Senator Baddour made a comment at one of the Tea Party events before, during the election time. He brought attention to the entire Andover group that that I was up there taking a lot of hits at the State House, pro and con. But I think it's awesome. I have a presence at the State House now. When I'm there, people know who I am. They know what I'm about, and it's been kind of a fun adventure for a senior. And I really challenge other seniors to get involved.
And I do too. I mean, and I want to second that last statement that you made, that when you go there, people do know where you are, and it does make a big difference. I'm recognized in the court as well, and the judges know me by name based on the persistence that some of us do bring to the system. Janet, I'd like to thank you for coming in today, joining us here.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure, and I hope that you continue the good work that you are doing. And once again, why don't you tell us how people can reach you, visit your website, and give us the address of the website so people can go in and look at Film Registry Media.
Well, I did give some information to the staff, so they have the numbers.
And that'll be posted up.
But I usually give out my cell phone, which is 978-388-2457. And people can leave a message if they want coverage or if they want a tape. They can also go on to see the footage, which I think is really the best way to understand what I've been doing, is Film Registry News. Now, Film is pronounced C-O-M-F-I-L-M, but in actuality, you leave the I out.
Correct.
And it's registrynews.blip.tv. And you can just type that in without the HTTP and all that stuff. And it'll come up as Catch of the Day Video News. And up in the right-hand corner, it says Episode Archive. Click that, and you'll see all the small windows of different meetings I've covered. And they're always in order by date, because my website, everything is posted by date. So it goes back 6 years, and when you look at it, sometimes it can be a little confusing. I've tried to clean a lot of it up this year, so as I get more technically savvy.
Now, really quickly, you mentioned that you fell in front of the courtroom. How are you doing now? How is your arm, and are you in pain?
This should be coming off next week.
It should.
Yeah, 4 weeks and in the cast, and I'm pretty much recovering. But this time it was really a tough hit because I hit my head. But I'm saying to people when they come up against me, I'm a real hard head because I did not crack my skull.
Well, I definitely want to thank you for joining us today.
We'll leave it at that.
And I want to thank the crew at MCTV, and I want to thank the staff at MCTV. I want to thank you, the viewers at home, for watching. Join us next time as we go behind the scenes to ask the tough questions, bring you their responses, and we'll let you decide. Thank you for joining us.